never fun losing. Yeah, I mean, it's the answer to the question. It's anywhere you're playing, you never want to lose. So for me, it's got to learn, got to grow, and I know we'll come back stronger.
Statistically speaking, Wisconsin dominated Penn State in first downs, total yards, and time of possession. But when it mattered the most, the offense struggled. The Badgers had a field goal blocked. Graham Mertz threw 2 fourth-quarter interceptions. As a team, Wisconsin turned the ball over 3 times, and the big one, 4 scoreless trips inside the Penn State 25. Score a touchdown on one of those trips, UW is 1-0, and we aren't talking about missed opportunities or self-inflicted mistakes or simply how they couldn't finish in the red zone.
You got to find ways to finish, and certainly, you know, had a number of opportunities in the red zone, and you know, didn't do a good job of scoring points, and you got to score points to win.
Definitely stings. Kind of felt like we were playing 2 teams out there, playing ourselves, and definitely shot ourselves in the foot a couple times. Definitely stuff we can clean up tomorrow in the film room and this week during prep.
And with that, welcome to the Badger Blueprint. I'm Zach Hanley, and this is a Wisconsin State Journal columnist, Jim Polzin. The lack of execution was kind of a head-scratcher with a lot of returners on offense. What do you make of it?
Yeah, really a lot of avoidable mistakes. I mean, you talk about false start inside the 5. You talk about a couple fumbles. And really, you add up the points that they should have had. They should have had 27 points in that game, and it's a completely different conversation today than it would have been.
The guy that makes the offense go is Graham Mertz, and the Badger quarterback didn't have his best game under center on Saturday. Mertz completed 22 of 37 passes for 185 yards, but threw 2 picks in Wisconsin's final 2 drives of the game. He also lost a fumble and was sacked twice. A performance nobody expected, and it's one that Mertz vowed to never have again.
Not proud of how it ended. There are definitely a lot of things that fell on my plate that I need to clean up, and I will. I'm going to do everything and anything I can to make sure I'm ready to go, and this team's ready to go. So, like I've been saying, it just comes down to execution and doing it consistently. And I wasn't consistent.
I wouldn't say he was comfortable in the pocket early, you know, but you still have to. And that's a hard thing, right? You've got to still play with poise.
Penn State's defense is good, but I expected Mertz to have a better day, and I think we all did after he went through spring ball and fall camp as a starter.
I think Graham Mertz expected a better day than he had. You know, there was really a couple moments where I thought he lost his poise, the intentional grounding ones in particular. The last series, he kind of panicked. Threw the ball out of bounds. Not only do you have the loss of yardage, but you have the 10-second runoff, which really led to a desperation final play. I know he knows he can be better, and he needs to be better the rest of the season if this team's going to improve.
Now, there was a bright spot on offense, the rushing attack of chesmar. The Clemson transfer had a career day, racking up 121 yards on 31 carries and scoring Wisconsin's only touchdown. And those 121 yards, the most in a Badger debut since P.J. Hill rushed for 130 back in 2006.
I mean, it was awesome blocking for that dude. Almost felt like I had JT back there for a couple plays. That dude ran his heart out. He played his heart out.
Yeah, Ches is a dog. He's going to go out there and ball, and he's going to keep doing that. So I love that kid to death. Happy he's on my team.
The Badger defense did a pretty good job on Saturday. They held the Nittany Lions to just 50 yards on the ground. They got off the field on 3rd down and got after the quarterback. But they gave up 3 explosive plays that led to Penn State points, and that's not sitting well with this unit.
I think those plays hurt us, and I don't think we got a turnover, and I think that hurt us a lot too. For my standards, for this defense, no.
You know, without those mental errors, we can keep the game at 0-0 and call it a day. Call it a day going to overtime, or, you know, win by a field goal, 3-0, whatever.
It's hard to reach your standard if it's a shutout every Saturday, but week 1 against the top 20 team, this defense showed that they could be one of the best in the country.
Almost perfect, but not quite perfect, right? 4 plays leading to 170 yards in the second half. That's the things you have to avoid, especially when you have an offense that isn't living up to its end of the bargain. The defense had to be almost perfect and wasn't quite to that standard.
No, big thing they talked about after the game was the lack of turnovers. We saw that last year. Is it just right place, right time thing?
I think so. You know, it's Nick Herbig getting around the corner and knocking the ball loose from Sean Clifford instead of the sack. A couple plays in the secondary that you have to make. Penn State made those plays, right? I mean, Penn State's defense had 3 turnovers created. Wisconsin's had none. I think that's the difference.
They're more than adequate to create big plays and put points on the board. So it's a challenge. There's no question about it.
Still to come, the Badger defense gearing up for a two-quarterback system. How playing Penn State has helped their preparation for Eastern Michigan. More Badger Blueprint is next.
My guys are ready to go, and we're looking at this opportunity as a new one and a great one. And the guys are hungry. We need to win, want to win, and we're going to win.
There's no lack of confidence for the Badger offense. They won the time of possession battle, gained more yards, and had more first downs than the Nittany Lions. But the turnover battle and finishing drives is what cost them, and those mistakes are simple fixes. And after watching the tape, Wisconsin isn't dwelling on what they did or didn't do. They've moved on to Eastern Michigan.
We are a really good offense, and I'm confident that we're a really good offense. So it's important not to look back and kind of dwell, and that will only make us worse if we kind of focus on that one. And if we just kind of let it go, focus on this week's prep, then I think we'll be pretty good.
When I'm playing good ball and we're all playing together, it's hard to beat us, and that gives me the confidence, and it will never falter, never at all.
The confidence is there, but will the results be? I think Saturday is more about the Wisconsin offense than the Eastern Michigan defense.
There's that old cliche, don't let the same team beat you twice, and I think that's what Wisconsin is doing this week, is looking back on that game, learning from the mistakes, but making sure they don't do the same thing twice. And it's a very confident bunch. I talked to some of those guys earlier this week. They think they can be a high-powered, really good offense, but they have to show it now.
The Wisconsin defense has a different scout on their hands. The Eagles have a two-quarterback system, and both quarterbacks do different things. Ben Bryant is more of a pocket passer. He transferred in from Cincinnati and completed 80% of his passes last week, while Preston Hutchinson is more of a dual-threat QB. So for the Badgers, it's all about knowing who's under center at all times.
Just being aware of who's out there, knowing, each quarterback has their own little tendencies. One's more of a runner.
Both have talented quarterbacks, and both have different kind of playing styles. Both have different strengths and weaknesses. So, we're going to have to pinpoint on each guy and be prepared for both.
Look, they're saying all the right things, but no offense to Eastern Michigan's offense. They aren't Penn State. I don't care who's under center. The Badgers show that they can be an elite defense, and I don't see a two-quarterback system shocking them.
I agree, Zach, and if the name Ben Bryant sounds familiar to Wisconsin fans, it should. He was part of the 2018 recruiting class once upon a time. Chase Wolf was also in that class. Wisconsin ended up pulling Ben Bryant's offer. He went to Cincinnati and now is at Eastern Michigan. I agree with you, though, that the two-quarterback system shouldn't mess with Wisconsin at all. Jack Sanborn's kind of the quarterback of that defense. He'll make sure that everybody's on the same page, knows what's coming, and they should be fine.
And just like Penn State, they play with tempo, but the only thing that changes for the Badgers is doing everything a little bit faster.
It's just a different type of communication, getting up to the line quick, being ready for whatever they can throw at you, reading your pre-snap reads quickly so you can then get down in your stance and be ready to play quick, right?
Doing that in that big game environment versus Penn State, going into Eastern Michigan will be a lot of the similar things.
It helps that they just saw that type of play last week.
Yeah, always helpful when you can go two similar offenses back-to-back weeks. You've seen it a little bit. You know what to expect. It's going to be different personnel, obviously, but the same type of thing where Wisconsin's going to have to be ready right off the bat because both offenses are going to move quickly.
And coming up next, this isn't a cupcake opponent to the Badgers. Why Eastern Michigan has their full attention. More Badger Blueprint after the break.
Cannot overlook a team like this because they're not going to come in here with the experience that they have and back down from this group.
Yes, this year's Eastern Michigan team is coming off a 20-point win over an FCS school, but the program itself is on a 3-game winning streak against the Big Ten Conference. The Eagles beat Rutgers, beat Purdue, and then Illinois in 3 straight seasons. Jim, they don't make it 4 straight, do they?
I don't think so, Zach. I think you'll see a much cleaner performance from Wisconsin's offense. I think the defense will be just fine. I'm expecting to win, for Wisconsin to win handily. I'd say like 38-7.
Yeah, I agree. In the previous 3 meetings, Wisconsin has outscored Eastern Michigan 101-9. This team is mad at their Week 1 performance, and Saturday night scoreboard should reflect that. Badgers by double digits. And that's it for this week's Badger Blueprint. For Jim Polzin, I'm Zach Hanley. We'll see you next time.